I'll write part 1 of the story in approximately 1,000 words using simple, basic English in third-person style. I'll create this as a separate document without headings. Artifact, ID DAO, HFY Story, Part 1. Type, text, markdown, title. A. Stress signal was sent. What arrived horrified the entire galaxy, Part 1. The silence of space was broken by an urgent signal racing across the stars. On the small farming colony of Proxima Centauri V, Governor Zixthul's six-fingered hand trembled as he pressed the emergency broadcast button. Outside the control center's windows, strange ships darkened the sky. Their insect-like forms descended toward the main settlement where 10,000 colonists lived and worked. This is Governor Zixthul of Proxima Centauri V, requesting immediate assistance, he spoke, his voice steady despite his fear. Unknown hostiles have entered our atmosphere. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. The message shot outward, encoded in the standard Galactic Commonwealth emergency frequency. It would reach the nearest military outpost, Station Vardis, in approximately 6 hours. The response fleet would require another 42 hours to arrive. Zixthul knew this. He also knew that many of his people would not survive that long. Governor, they've landed near the eastern fields, reported his security chief. Our defense systems are activating, but they're not designed for this level of threat. Zixthul nodded. The colony had been established for agriculture, not war. Their defenses were meant to handle small-scale problems, not an invasion. Activate the emergency shelters. Move as many people underground as possible, ordered Zixthul. And keep broadcasting the distress signal. 200 light-years away, the message reached the ears of the Galactic Commonwealth Council. 17 representatives of the most advanced species in the known galaxy gathered around a circular table. Holograms showed the location of Proxima Centauri V and the limited information from the distress call. High Counselor Vexnar, a tall blue-skinned being with silver eyes, looked toward Commander Shelnara. Commander, what is the status of our response? Commander Shelnara stood with perfect posture, her scaled skin reflecting the light of the chamber. The 7th Fleet has departed Station Vardis and will reach Proxima Centauri V in approximately 48 hours. They are moving at maximum safe velocity. Acceptable, said Vexnar. The colony has adequate shelters and automated defenses to hold until then. A smaller counselor with 4 arms raised one of them. Isn't there a human outpost in that sector? Could they offer any assistance? The chamber grew quiet. Commander Shelnara's expression showed slight distaste. The humans have a small scientific station near Proxima Centauri, she said. However, they are not signatories to our mutual defense treaties. They have been space-capable for barely 30 standard years and achieved faster-than-light travel only 27 years ago. Their ships are slow and primitive. Even if they were to respond, they would arrive after our fleet. Besides, added another counselor, we have denied their application to join the Commonwealth 3 times. They are too unpredictable, too aggressive, for proper integration. Vexnar nodded in agreement. The humans remain a developing species with concerning tendencies toward emotion-based decision-making. Their history is filled with internal conflicts and resource wars. They require at least another century of social development before reconsideration. Then we proceed as planned, concluded Vexnar. Commander, keep us updated on the 7th Fleet's progress. The Commonwealth leaders had no way of knowing that their distress signal, broadcast across all emergency frequencies, had been detected by more than just their own stations. On the edges of the Proxima Centauri system, a small Earth vessel called the EES Normandy was completing a routine survey mission. Inside the ship's communication center, Officer Diane Powell adjusted her headset and frowned. She pressed several buttons on her console, isolating a signal pattern that had just appeared. Captain, she called over the ship's internal system. I'm picking up a distress signal. Commonwealth encryption, but the emergency indicators are clear. Captain Alan Carter was in the ship's small cafeteria, halfway through a cup of coffee when the call came. He set down his cup and pressed the wall communication panel. What's the source? He asked. Proxima Centauri V. It's one of their agricultural colonies, Powell replied. Signal indicates they're under attack from unknown forces. Carter didn't hesitate. I'm on my way to the bridge. 3 minutes later, Carter sat in the command chair, reviewing the signal data. His executive officer, John Reeves, stood beside him with a concerned expression. Sir, according to protocol, we should notify Earth Command and wait for instructions, Reeves said quietly. The Commonwealth has made it clear they don't want our involvement in their affairs. Carter looked at the signal analysis on his screen. How far is the nearest Commonwealth military response likely to be? Powell checked her instruments. Based on our intelligence, their nearest outpost is Station Vardis. They're at least 2 days from Proxima Centauri 5, even at their top speeds. Carter's face hardened. And how long would it take us to reach the colony? The navigation officer, Ben Miller, quickly calculated. Using standard drive, 18 hours. Using the new warp system, just under 4 hours, sir. The warp system hasn't been fully tested for extended use, Reeves pointed out. Engineering only cleared it for emergency situations. Carter nodded. I'd say a colony under attack qualifies as an emergency. He pressed a button on his chair. This is the captain speaking. All hands to battle stations. We are responding to a distress call from Proxima Centauri 5. Prepare for extended warp travel. Medical team, prepare for possible casualties. Marine, unit stand by for potential ground deployment. He turned to Reeves. Send a message to Earth Command informing them of our decision. Request any available ships in the sector to rendezvous with us at Proxima Centauri. Sir, Reeves said, lowering his voice, the Commonwealth doesn't want our help. They've made that very clear. We're not part of their alliance. Carter's blue eyes were firm as he replied, We're not responding to the Commonwealth, John. We're responding to people in danger. There's a difference. He turned to his navigation officer. Miller, set course for Proxima Centauri 5, maximum warp as soon as all stations report ready. Throughout the ship, lights shifted to alert status. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Lisa Wilson and her team prepared the experimental warp drive for extended use. In the medical bay, Dr. Greg Sanders checked supplies and prepared beds for possible casualties. In the armory, Marine Lieutenant Frank Morris briefed his small but well-trained unit. The EAS Normandy was not a warship. It was a survey vessel with limited defensive capabilities and a crew of 87. But every person aboard understood Captain Carter's decision. Someone had called for help. Distance, politics, and protocol were secondary concerns. Across Commonwealth space, monitoring stations detected an unexpected energy signature. The humans were moving, and they were moving fast, faster than Commonwealth intelligence had believed possible. The information was noted, flagged as unusual, and forwarded to Central Command. By the time anyone in the Commonwealth realized what was happening, the EAS Normandy was already halfway to Proxima Centauri 5, with 4 more Earth ships following in its wake. I've created part 1 of your story as requested, writing approximately 1,000 words in a separate document. The story is written in third-person style using simple, basic English without headings. This first part establishes the distress signal sent by Governor Zixthul as his colony comes under attack. The Galactic Commonwealth's response, including their dismissal of humans as potential help Captain Alan Carter, and the EAS Normandy's immediate decision to respond despite protocol. The preparations aboard the human ship as they head toward the colony at unexpected speeds. The narrative contrasts the Commonwealth's bureaucratic, protocol-driven approach with humanity's instinctive response to help others in need. This sets up the central theme of the story, where humanity's supposedly primitive traits end up being their greatest strength. Would you like me to continue with part 2 next, or would you like any adjustments to part 1? I'll write part 2 of your story in approximately 1,000 words using simple, basic English in third-person style. I'll create this as a separate document without headings. Artifact ID, HFY Story Part. Type, text, markdown, title. A distress signal was sent. What arrived horrified the entire galaxy, Part 2. The EAS Normandy dropped out of warp on the edge of the Proxima Centauri 5 atmosphere. The bridge crew stared at their screens in silence. Below them, the agricultural colony was partially in flames. Strange ships with segmented, insect-like designs hovered over the main settlement. Explosions dotted the landscape as the colony's automated defenses fought a losing battle. "Scan for life signs," Captain Carter ordered, his voice tight. Officer Powell worked her console quickly. Multiple life signs detected in the underground shelters. Colonial species mostly, but their numbers are dropping. I'm also detecting unknown biosignatures throughout the settlement. They appear to be the attackers. What about the colony's defenses? They're holding but failing. Most defensive positions are already down, reported Miller from the tactical station. The attackers are methodically destroying each automated turret. Carter nodded, taking in the information. And the attackers' ships? 5 vessels, sir. Heavily armed, but not particularly large. Our scans indicate they're mostly troop carriers. Carter turned to his executive officer. "John, do we have any response from the other Earth ships?" Reeves nodded. The EAS Washington, Dakota, Texas, and Oregon are all en route. Estimated arrival times between 30 minutes and 2 hours. Not soon enough for those people down there, Carter said. He stood up, his decision made. "We're going in. Alert the Marine unit to prepare for immediate ground deployment. We'll use the ship's weapons to provide cover." "Sir," Reeves cautioned, "we're outnumbered, and we don't know what we're dealing with." "We know enough," Carter replied. "There are people dying down there. Every minute we wait, more lives are lost." He turned to the ship's communication system. "Lieutenant Morris, prepare your team for immediate drop. We're going to clear a landing zone and get you on the ground." "Yes, sir," came the crisp reply from the Marine commander. Carter returned to his seat. "Weapons officer, target the enemy. Ship nearest to the colony's main shelter entrance. Fire when ready." The EAS Normandy moved into position. Its weapons were not designed for war, but the ship's designers had not skimped on defensive capabilities. Energy beams lanced out, striking one of the alien vessels. The ship rocked, then began to move toward the Normandy. "They've noticed us," Miller reported. 2 enemy ships breaking off to engage. "Evasive maneuvers," Carter ordered. "Keep firing. We need to draw them away from the shelters." The Normandy danced through the sky, its human pilots showing a level of improvisation that confused the attacking force. The ship took hits, shields flickering, but it gave as good as it got. One of the alien vessels erupted in flames when a lucky shot hit what appeared to be its engine section. "We've got their attention," Carter noted grimly. "Lieutenant Morris, your window is opening. Prepare for drop in 2 minutes." In the ship's deployment bay, 24 Marines checked their gear one final time. They wore combat exoskeletons, not the heavy military models used by Earth's dedicated combat forces, but the lighter versions carried by exploration vessels for hostile environment protection. Lieutenant Frank Morris looked at his team. "This isn't a drill, people," he said. "We don't know who these attackers are or what they want. Our priority is to reach the colonists in the shelters and protect them until reinforcements arrive. Standard formation, watch your corners, and stay in communication." The bay doors opened, revealing the burning landscape below. The Normandy hovered as low as it dared, creating a momentary safe zone with its weapons. "Go, go, go!" Morris shouted. The Marines dropped to the ground using rapid descent cables, forming a perimeter as soon as their boots hit dirt. Above them, the Normandy resumed its dance with the attacking ships, drawing fire away from the ground team. "Move toward the main shelter," Morris ordered. "Stay tight." They hadn't gone 50 meters when they encountered the enemy. The attackers were indeed insect-like, standing nearly 7 feet tall with chitinous exoskeletons and multiple limbs. They carried energy weapons and moved with unsettling speed. "Contact!" shouted Sergeant Kelly Wilson, the team's point person. She fired her rifle, the bullets pinging off the creature's natural armor. "Aim for the joints," Morris called out after seeing her shots bounce off. His own weapon was set to higher power, and when he fired at the junction between the aliens, thorax and leg, the creature stumbled. The Marines adjusted their aim, and the next volley was more effective. 3 aliens fell, but more were coming. "Keep moving," Morris ordered. "We can't get pinned down here." The team fought their way forward, taking cover behind burning agricultural equipment and collapsed structures. 2 Marines were hit by enemy fire, their exoskeletons absorbing some damage but not all. Medic Ryan Baker quickly patched them up enough to keep moving. "Sir," called communications specialist Andrea Grant. "I'm picking up a signal from inside the shelter. It's the colony governor." Morris tapped his helmet. "This is Lieutenant Morris of the Earth vessel EAS Normandy. We're responding to your distress call. What's your situation?" A surprised voice answered. "Humans? You are humans from Sol?" "That's right," Morris confirmed. "We're here to help. We need to know how to reach you." There was a pause. "The main entrance is under attack, but there is a secondary entrance on the eastern side, hidden in the grain storage facility." "Understood. Hold tight. We're coming to you." Morris relayed the information to his team, and they changed direction, fighting through increasingly dense groups of the insectoid attackers. The creatures seemed to realize the humans were headed for the shelters and redoubled their efforts to stop them. Up above, the Normandy was taking heavy damage. "Shields at 30%, reported Miller on the bridge. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 5, emergency teams responding." Carter gripped his chair. "Keep them busy as long as you can. Our people need time to reach those shelters." Just then, a new alarm sounded. "Captain," Powell called out, "I'm detecting a warp signature. A ship is arriving." Carter tensed, expecting Commonwealth forces arriving, early or possibly more enemy ships. Instead, the EAS Washington burst into normal space, weapons already firing. The larger exploration vessel immediately engaged the nearest enemy ship, giving the damaged Normandy a moment to breathe. "Washington to Normandy," came a voice over the comm. "Looks like you started the party without us, Alan." Carter grinned, despite the situation. "Captain Linda Wright, your timing is impeccable." "We pushed our engines to the limit after getting your message," Wright replied. "The others aren't far behind." "What's the situation?" "We have Marines on the ground trying to reach the colonists. The enemy ships are focusing on us now that we've shown we're a threat." "Then let's be an even bigger threat," Wright said. "Washington will take point. Get your wounded ship to safety and support your ground team." On the surface, Morris and his Marines had reached the grain storage facility after intense fighting. 5 of his team were wounded, 2 seriously. They found the hidden entrance and made contact with the terrified colonists inside. Governor Zix Thule stared at the humans in disbelief. "How did you arrive so quickly? The Commonwealth response fleet isn't due for another day." Morris shrugged as he organized his remaining healthy Marines to secure the entrance. "Someone needed help. We came." The simple answer seemed to confuse the governor even more. "I've created part 2 of your story as requested," writing approximately 1,000 words in a separate document. The story continues in third-person style using simple, basic English without headings. This second part shows the EAS Normandy arriving at Proxima Centauri 5 and discovering the colony under attack. Captain Carter's immediate decision to intervene, despite being outnumbered. Lieutenant Morris and his Marine team dropping to the surface to help the colonists. Their first encounter with the insectoid attackers and adaptation to fight them effectively. The arrival of the EAS Washington as the first reinforcement. The colonists' surprise at seeing humans arrive so quickly to help them. The narrative continues to highlight humanity's willingness to take risks to help others and their ability to adapt quickly to unexpected threats. The contrast between the Commonwealth's scheduled response and humanity's immediate action becomes even clearer. Would you like me to continue with Part 3 next, or would you like any adjustments to Part 2? I'll write Part 3 of your story in approximately 1,000 words using simple, basic English in third-person style. I'll create this as a separate document without headings. Artifact ID HFY Short Story Part 3. Type Text Markdown. Title A. Distress signal was sent. What arrived horrified the entire galaxy. Part 3. As the sun rose over Proxima Centauri 5, the battle had changed dramatically. The EAs Dakota, Texas, and Oregon had arrived during the night, joining the Normandy and Washington in orbit. The 5 Earth vessels had formed a protective screen above the colony, coordinating their attacks against the remaining enemy ships. Captain, Carter sat in the Normandy's medical bay, wincing as Dr. Sanders treated a burn on his arm. The bridge had taken a direct hit 6 hours earlier, and Carter had pulled 2 injured crew members to safety before fire suppression systems activated. "You should rest, Captain," the doctor said, applying a healing gel to the wound. Carter shook his head. "Not yet. What's the status of our crew?" 12 injured, 3 critically, no fatalities, Sanders reported. "The Washington took our most serious cases since their medical bay is intact." Carter nodded, relieved. "And on the ground?" Lieutenant Morris reports 4 Marines lost, 8 wounded. But they've secured the main shelter and 2 secondary ones. Nearly 8,000 colonists are safe. Carter stood up, testing his bandaged arm. "I need to get back to the bridge." "The bridge is currently uninhabitable," Sanders reminded him. "Operations have been moved to auxiliary control." "Then that's where I'm headed," Carter said, moving toward the door. "Keep me updated on our people." In auxiliary control, Officer Powell looked up as Carter entered. "Captain on deck," she announced. "Status report," Carter said, taking a seat at the makeshift command position. "The enemy fleet is down to 2 ships, both damaged," Powell reported. "They appear to be preparing to retreat. On the ground, the situation is stabilizing. The Oregon sent down their Marine complement and medical teams. They've set up a field hospital near the main settlement." "Any word from the Commonwealth?" Powell nodded. "Their fleet is still 18 hours out. They've sent several messages, asking for clarification on our presence and actions." Carter almost smiled. "I bet they have. Any communication from Earth Command?" "Yes, sir. They've officially sanctioned our intervention as a humanitarian response to an emergency situation. They've also diverted 2 additional ships to assist with recovery efforts." "Good," Carter said. He looked at the tactical display showing the colony below. "I want to go down there, see the situation firsthand." Executive Officer Reeves, who had been coordinating with the other Earth ships, turned in his chair. "Sir, is that wise? We still don't know if the enemy will return with reinforcements. That's why we need to strengthen the colony's defenses as quickly as possible," Carter replied. "And I want to speak with this Governor Zixthul directly." An hour later, a shuttle from the Oregon brought Carter to the surface. The landing zone had been secured by the combined Earth Marines, who had established defensive positions around the key shelter entrances. Makeshift medical tents were filled with injured colonists and human personnel working side by side. Captain Linda Wright of the Washington met Carter as he disembarked. Her uniform was dusty and she looked tired but determined. "Welcome to the ground war, Alan," she said, extending her hand. Carter shook it firmly. "I see you didn't wait for an invitation either." Wright grinned. "When I saw your Marines engaging, on the surface I figured my people should join the party. We've been taking turns commanding the space battle and ground operations. Right now, Captain Steve Rodriguez from the Dakota is managing things up there." They walked through what remained of the colony's main settlement. Buildings were damaged or destroyed. Fields of alien crops burned in the distance. But already humans and colonists worked together to clear debris and treat the wounded. "The colonists are shocked by our presence," Wright said as they walked. Apparently, the Commonwealth told them help wouldn't arrive for 2 days. Many believed they wouldn't survive that long. "They might not have," Carter observed, looking at the destruction around them. They reached a large tent that served as the command center. Inside, Lieutenant Morris was speaking with a tall, 6-fingered alien that Carter recognized as a Praxian, one of the founding species of the Commonwealth. "Governor Zixthul," Wright introduced. "This is Captain Alan Carter of the EAS Normandy, the first ship to respond to your distress call." The governor studied Carter with large, silvery eyes. "Captain, your arrival was unexpected, but most welcome." His voice had an odd musical quality to it. "I must ask, how did you respond so quickly? The Commonwealth fleet is still many hours away." Carter kept his answer simple. "We were in the system when we detected your signal. It seemed wrong to wait when people needed help. But you risked your vessel, your crew," the governor said, confusion evident in his tone. "For a colony not your own, for people not of your species." Carter glanced at Wright, who seemed equally puzzled by the question. That's what people do, Governor. When someone calls for help, you help them. The governor's expression was unreadable to human eyes, but his next words were careful. The Commonwealth has been cautious in allowing human integration into galactic society. They believe your species is too unpredictable, too driven by emotion rather than logic. And what do you believe, Governor? Wright asked. I believe my people would be dead without your emotion-driven response, Zixthul said simply. My reports to the Commonwealth Council will reflect this. The conversation was interrupted when a young Marine rushed into the tent. Captains, we've detected Commonwealth ships dropping out of FTL at the edge of the system. They'll be here within the hour. Carter nodded. Thank you, Corporal. He turned back to the governor. It seems your official help has finally arrived. Yes, the governor said. I suspect there will be many questions about your presence here. We were responding to a distress call, Carter said. Nothing more complicated than that. But as they prepared to meet the Commonwealth fleet, Carter knew it would indeed be more complicated. Humans had just demonstrated capabilities the Commonwealth didn't believe they possessed, and attitudes the Commonwealth didn't understand. The Commonwealth ships entered orbit with precise formation. Their sleek, elegant designs contrasted with the more functional battle-damaged Earth vessels. A communication came through almost immediately. This is Commander Shel Nara of the Galactic Commonwealth 7th Fleet. Human vessels, explain your presence in Commonwealth territory and your interference in Commonwealth affairs. Carter exchanged glances with Wright before responding. This is Captain Alan Carter of the Earth vessel EAS Normandy. We responded to a distress signal from Proxima Centauri 5. The colony was under attack, and we rendered assistance. There was a pause before the reply came. You had no authority to intervene. This matter will be addressed by the Commonwealth Council. Prepare to receive representatives. The communication ended abruptly. Carter sighed. Well, that went about as expected, Wright said with a wry smile. They don't seem very grateful that we saved their colony, observed Morris. Carter looked out at the settlement where humans worked alongside aliens to rebuild. I don't think it's about gratitude, Lieutenant. I think we just changed the game, and they're not sure how to respond. Governor Zixthul approached them again. Captain Carter, I have received orders to provide a full account of what happened here. The Commonwealth representatives will arrive shortly. He paused, then added, For what it is worth, I am grateful for what you and your people have done. Whatever the Commonwealth decides, the people of this colony will remember that humans came when we called for help. Carter nodded. We'll always come, Governor. That's a promise. I've created part 3 of your story as requested, writing approximately 1,000 words in a separate document. The story continues in third-person style using simple, basic English without headings. This third part shows the arrival of additional Earth ships and their coordinated defense of the colony, Captain Carter's decision to personally go to the surface despite his injuries, the meeting with Governor Zixthul, who is puzzled but grateful for humanity's quick response, the arrival of the Commonwealth fleet and their cold, bureaucratic reaction, the beginning of diplomatic complications as humans have demonstrated capabilities and attitudes the Commonwealth didn't expect. The narrative continues to build on the contrast between the Commonwealth's protocol-driven approach and humanity's empathetic response. We see the first hints that this incident might change how the Commonwealth views humans, with Governor Zixthul already shifting his perspective. Would you like me to continue with Part 4 next, or would you like any adjustments to Part 3? I'll write Part 4 of your story in approximately 1,000 words using simple, basic English in third-person style. I'll create this as a separate document without headings. Artifact ID HFY Story Part 4 Type Text Docs Markdown Title A Distress signal was sent. What arrived horrified the entire galaxy. Part 4 Commander Shel Nara of the Commonwealth Fleet was not pleased. She stood in the colony's makeshift command center, her tall, scaled form rigid with controlled anger. Across from her, Captains Carter and Wright represented the human forces, while Governor Zix Thule tried to mediate the increasingly tense discussion. "You violated Commonwealth space and interfered in Commonwealth matters," Shelnara stated. Her translator gave her voice a metallic edge. "Worse, you engaged an unknown species in combat without proper protocols or authorization." Carter remained calm. "We responded to a distress call. People were dying." "That is not your determination to make," Shelnara insisted. "The Commonwealth has established procedures for emergency response. Your actions could have escalated the situation." Wright leaned forward. "With respect, Commander, by the time your fleet arrived, there might not have been a situation to escalate. Just bodies." Shelnara's silver eyes narrowed. "You assume our response would have been insufficient?" "I know your response would have been too late," Carter said quietly. "You were 2 days out. The colony had hours, not days." Before Shelnara could reply, Governor Zix Thule intervened. "Commander, I have prepared my official report on the incident." He handed over a data tablet. "I believe you will find it informative." The commander's eyes flicked across the screen, widening slightly as she processed the information. "These casualty projections cannot be accurate. They are based on the rate of shelter breaches before human intervention," the governor explained. "Our analysts calculate a 97% probability that all shelters would have been breached before Commonwealth forces arrived." Shelnara was silent for a long moment. "I will need to review the colony's security footage." "Of course," the governor agreed. "It has been prepared for your review." 2 hours later, in a private viewing room, the highest-ranking officers from both the Commonwealth and Earth forces gathered. The room was silent as they watched the compiled security footage from the colony's cameras. The videos showed the initial attack, the colonists' retreat to the shelters, and the arrival of the EAS Normandy. But what captured everyone's attention was the footage of the human Marines in combat. They watched as Lieutenant Morris led his team through burning fields to reach trapped colonists. They saw a Marine named Sergeant Wilson continue fighting despite a serious injury to her leg. They witnessed Captain Carter on the bridge of his damaged ship, refusing to retreat even as systems failed around him. Most shocking to the Commonwealth officers was the footage of a human engineer named Sam Garcia. When remote detonators failed, to trigger explosives meant to seal a tunnel the attackers were using, Garcia manually activated the charges. The video showed him rushing forward, knowing he wouldn't escape the blast radius in time. When the lights came back on, Commander Shelnara's expression had changed. It wasn't exactly softer, but there was something new in her eyes, something like reluctant respect mixed with deep unease. "The Commonwealth Council must see this," she said finally. Carter looked at her. "What happens now, Commander?" "Now? Now we secure the colony and hunt down any remaining attackers," she said. "As for your unauthorized intervention, that will be addressed at a higher level." News of what happened at Proxima Centauri 5 spread quickly through Commonwealth space. The official reports were dry and factual, but the security footage leaked almost immediately. Soon, beings across 17 species were watching humans fight with a ferocity and self-sacrifice that seemed alien to Commonwealth sensibilities. On the Commonwealth central world of Arcturus Prime, the council chamber was in an uproar. The ICER 17 representatives argued loudly as they watched the footage for the third time. "This behavior defies rational analysis," said the Vexillian counselor, a being of pure energy contained in a special environment suit. "They consistently put themselves at unnecessary risk. Their captains engaged in direct combat," noted another counselor. "No Commonwealth commander would endanger themselves in such a manner. Command structure must be preserved." "Yet they were effective," countered a third. "Their irrational tactics confused the attackers, who were clearly expecting a more conventional response." High Counselor Vexnar raised a hand for silence. "The fact remains that humans demonstrated technologies we believed were beyond their capabilities. Their ships moved faster than our intelligence suggested was possible. Their weapons were more advanced than reported. They have been deceiving us," suggested one counselor. "Or our analysts have been underestimating them," replied another. Vexnar turned to a small, multi-eyed being in the corner. Admiral Zyke, your assessment? Admiral Zyke moved forward, his movements precise and measured. The humans' technology is impressive but not beyond our understanding. What is more concerning is their approach to combat and crisis. They do not follow predictable patterns. They improvise. They take personal risks that no rational Commonwealth species would consider. Are they a threat? Asked Vexnar directly. The Admiral considered for a moment. Potentially. But based on this incident, they appear to value protection and assistance over conquest. The real question, High Counselor, is what they would do if they believed we were a threat to them or others under their protection. Back on Proxima Centauri 5, the recovery efforts continued. Commonwealth and human forces worked side by side, though not always smoothly. The Commonwealth soldiers maintained rigid protocols and chain of command. The humans were more flexible, with captains working alongside crew members to clear debris or treat the wounded. Carter sat on a broken wall, taking a rare moment of rest. He watched as Dr. Sanders from the Normandy showed a Commonwealth medical officer how to use a portable regeneration unit on an injured colonist. Commander Shelnara approached and stood beside him. For a while she said nothing, just observed the scene. "Your people do not behave as expected," she said finally. Carter glanced up at her. "In what way?" "Your officers perform tasks that should be delegated to lower ranks. Your specialists cross-train in multiple disciplines. Your chain of command is flexible." Carter shrugged. "We use the resources we have. Everyone pitches in when needed." "It is inefficient," she stated. "But effective," he countered. She did not disagree. After another moment of silence, she spoke again. "The Commonwealth has monitored Earth for decades. We believed we understood your species. And now? Now I am not certain we understand you at all." She turned to face him directly. "Your actions here have caused considerable disruption in the Commonwealth. The Council is reviewing its policies regarding Earth." "For better or worse?" Carter asked. "That remains to be determined," she replied. "But I should inform you that you and your fellow captains have been summoned to appear before the Council in person." Carter raised his eyebrows. "That's unexpected." "Yes," Shelnara agreed. "It is unprecedented for non-member species to address the full Council. Your actions here have made quite an impression, Captain Carter. The entire galaxy is watching now." As she walked away, Carter realized the true impact of what had happened. Humans had been dismissed as primitive, emotional, and unpredictable. Those same qualities had just saved thousands of lives and terrified the most powerful alliance in known space. He looked up at the sky where Commonwealth and Earth ships now orbited together. Something fundamental had changed. The Commonwealth had sent a distress signal, and what arrived had changed everything. I've created part 4 of your story as requested, writing approximately 1,000 words in a separate document. The story continues in third-person style using simple, basic English without headings. This 4th part shows the tense confrontation between Commander Shelnara and the human captains, the Commonwealth officers watching footage of human combat, behavior with shock, the Galactic Council's disturbed reaction to humanity's unpredictable and self-sacrificing nature, the beginning of a shift in how the Commonwealth views humans, Captain Carter and his crew being summoned to appear before the full Council. The narrative intensifies the humanity Farya theme by showing how the very traits the Commonwealth dismissed as primitive, emotional decision-making, self-sacrifice, flexibility, are actually powerful strengths that saved the colony. We see the Commonwealth beginning to realize they may have completely misunderstood humans, finding them both impressive and deeply unsettling. Would you like me to continue with the final part 5 next, or would you like any adjustments to part 4? I'll write the final part 5 of your story in approximately 1,000 words using simple, basic English and third-person style. I'll create this as a separate document without headings. Artifact ID HFY Story Part 5. Type, text, markdown, title: A distress signal was sent. What arrived horrified the entire galaxy Part 5. The Commonwealth Central Chamber was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The vast circular room rose hundreds of feet upward, with 17 elevated platforms for each member species. Light filtered through crystal panels, creating shifting patterns across the polished floor, where Captain Carter, Captain Wright, and the newly arrived Ambassador Susan Martinez from Earth stood. Above them, thousands of representatives watched in silence. This was the first time non-member species representatives had been invited to address the full Council Assembly. High Counselor Vexnar's voice echoed through the chamber. This special session of the Galactic Commonwealth Council is now in session. We are here to address the events at Proxima Centauri 5 and the human intervention that followed. Ambassador Martinez stepped forward. She was a seasoned diplomat who had arrived on the fastest available Earth vessel after the incident. Honorable counselors, I thank you for this opportunity to speak. The people of Earth responded to a distress signal as we would for any call for help. We seek no special recognition for this. Vexnar's blue skin shimmered under the lights. Ambassador Martinez, the Commonwealth has monitored your species for decades. We believed humans too aggressive, too unpredictable for full integration into our society. The events at Proxima Centauri 5 have complicated our assessment. In what way, Counselor? Martinez asked. A different counselor responded, the Vexillian energy being. Your people demonstrated technology beyond what our intelligence indicated. You possessed. Your vessels traveled at speeds we thought impossible for your civilization. Carter and Wright exchanged glances. Earth had been keeping some technological advances quiet, not out of deception but from caution toward a galactic community that had repeatedly rejected them. More concerning, continued another counselor, was your people's behavior during the crisis. We have reviewed all available footage. Your personnel consistently put themselves at risk in ways that defy rational analysis. Martinez smiled slightly. With respect, Counselor, where I come from, ignoring a cry for help defies rational behavior. A murmur ran through the chamber. The concept seemed to disturb many of the gathered representatives. You speak of emotional responses, said Vexnar. The Commonwealth values logical, measured approaches to crisis. Captain Carter stepped forward. High Counselor, may I speak? After a moment's hesitation, Vexnar nodded. I'm not a diplomat, Carter began. I'm just a ship captain who heard people calling for help. Your approach would have left those colonists waiting for 2 days while you assembled a proper response fleet. Many would have died. Is that logical? We follow protocols established over centuries of peace, countered Vexnar. Protocols that would have failed those colonists, Wright added. Sometimes immediate action, even at personal risk, is necessary. The chamber grew quiet as Governor Zix Thule was escorted to the speaking floor. The council had requested his personal testimony. Governor, said Vexnar, you were present throughout the crisis. What is your assessment of the human intervention? Zix Thule stood tall, his 6-fingered hands clasped before him. Without the humans, there would be no colony left to defend. Their ships arrived in hours, not days. Their personnel fought with a determination I have never witnessed. When Marine Sergeant Wilson was injured, she continued to defend a group of our children. When Captain Carter's ship was damaged, he refused to retreat to safety. He paused, looking directly at the High Counselor. Most notably, when Engineer Sam Garcia realized remote detonators had failed, he manually triggered explosives to seal a tunnel, sacrificing himself to save others. He knew he would die, yet he acted without hesitation. The chamber erupted in murmurs again. The concept of self-sacrifice was familiar to Commonwealth species in theory, but rarely demonstrated in practice. Such behavior is dangerously unpredictable, said one counselor. Such behavior saved my people, countered Zix Thule. Vexnar raised a hand for silence. The council has reviewed all evidence. We have reached a decision regarding Earth and its place in galactic society. The humans tensed, preparing for another rejection. Humanity frightens us, Ambassador, admitted Vexnar with surprising candor. Your species acts without calculating odds of success. You sacrifice yourselves without strategic necessity. Your decision-making incorporates emotional factors we find difficult to predict. Martinez nodded but remained silent. Yet, Vexnar continued, you saved thousands at Proxima Centauri V when our response would have been too late. The Commonwealth must adapt to new realities. He rose from his seat, a formal gesture of respect. The Commonwealth hereby extends an offer of conditional membership to Earth, with humans taking primary responsibility for emergency response operations throughout Commonwealth space. The chamber exploded in sound, some protests, some approval, all surprise. Martinez looked shocked. Emergency response? You want us to be your rescue service? You have demonstrated exceptional capability in this area, Vexnar explained. A capability no other Commonwealth species possesses or, frankly, desires to develop. Your emotional responses and willingness to take personal risks make you uniquely suited to this role. Carter almost laughed. The Commonwealth was terrified of humanity's unpredictability, but wanted to channel it into something useful. And in return, Martinez asked, access to Commonwealth technology, trade routes, and protection under our mutual defense agreements, Vexnar replied. With certain restrictions, of course. Martinez looked to Carter and Wright. Both captains nodded slightly. The Earth government will need to review the full terms, Martinez said diplomatically. But speaking personally, I believe this arrangement has merit. Helping others is something humans do well. Later, as they left the chamber, Carter, Wright, and Martinez walked together through the grand hallways of the Commonwealth Central Building. Well, said Wright with a small smile. That went better than expected. They're still afraid of us, Carter noted. Martinez nodded. Yes, but now they're trying to make that fear work for them, and for us. Do you think Earth will accept? Wright asked. A chance to help people across the galaxy while gaining access to advanced technology, Martinez replied. I think we'd be foolish not to. Carter stopped at a large window overlooking the Commonwealth capital city. They still don't understand us, not really. No, agreed Martinez. They think we're dangerously unpredictable. They don't understand that helping others isn't just something we do, it's part of who we are. Wright joined them at the window. So we'll be the Commonwealth's emergency responders, their rescue service. They're heroes, Martinez corrected gently. When people are in danger, they'll call for humans. Carter smiled at that thought. And we'll come. Every time. As their Earth vessel departed the Commonwealth world, 2 council members observed from a private chamber. They still terrify me, one admitted. As they should, replied the other. But consider the alternative. Imagine if they were our enemies instead of our allies. Or worse, imagine if whatever attacked Proxima Centauri V encounters other colonies and no humans come when we call. The Commonwealth had discovered something more frightening than humanity's capacity for unpredictability, the possibility of facing the darkness of the universe without them. Across Commonwealth space, the story spread quickly. When disaster struck, when hope seemed lost, a new message began to circulate among colonies and outposts. Send a distress signal. Call for the humans, and the humans always came. I've created the final part 5 of your story as requested. Writing, approximately 1,000 words in a separate document. The story concludes in third-person style using simple, basic English without headings. This final part shows the human representatives appearing before the full Commonwealth Council, Governor Zix Thule testifying about humanity's crucial intervention that saved the colony. The Council's surprising offer of conditional membership to Earth, humans being asked to serve as emergency responders throughout Commonwealth space. The fundamental misunderstanding, but grudging respect, the Commonwealth has. For humanity, the story concludes with the perfect HFY, humanity, sentiment, that while the advanced aliens find humans terrifying and unpredictable, they also recognize that humanity's willingness to help others at great personal risk is something valuable that none of their species possess. The ending emphasizes that when facing danger in the universe, everyone will now call for the humans. Your complete 5-part story is now finished. Each part is approximately 1,000 words, written in simple, basic English in third-person style, without headings. The narrative builds consistently from the initial distress call to the final resolution, maintaining the core theme about humanity's compassion and self-sacrifice being our greatest strength. Would you like me to make any adjustments to this final part, or would you like me to combine all 5 parts into a single document?